Well, folks, it's that time of year again. The summer tech drought is over. Apple just announced their September event, which means new iPhones, Apple Watches, and maybe an iPad or a HomePod or something are just around the corner. And that also means that it is peak tech buying season. Most people buy computers, phones, whatever they need between September and December. And ironically, this is also a period of time where people are the most indecisive. Because right now, Apple has a full lineup of fantastic Apple Silicon Macs. These are just the laptops. There's a whole other range of desktops that I don't even have with me. And the question that I've been getting a lot lately is now a bad time? Are any of these devices in imminent danger of being replaced or upgraded with 3nm M3 chips that we just talked about in my most recent video? So it's definitely a complicated situation if you are looking to buy a MacBook right now. But if I may, I'd like to try to break it down as much as I can. And we'll start with a very simple bit of advice. There is no such thing as the wrong time or a bad time to buy a device. When you need a device, that's the time to buy one. I think a lot of people, including myself, tend to get way too fixated on, oh, maybe I shouldn't buy the M2 15-inch MacBook Air because the M3 chip is coming out soon, so I gotta wait for the M3 version of the 15-inch MacBook Air before I upgrade. But then, who knows? By the time the M3 15-inch MacBook Air comes along, maybe there's a rumor saying, oh, well, next time it's gonna get OLED, and now you really want OLED, and you end up in this endless cycle where you're not satisfied with the machine that you bought, and you're always just waiting for the next thing. So I think the best way to break things down is to step back, avoid the speculation, and examine three key things. The first is your needs. What do you want in a computer? The budget, the performance, the size, etc. The second is to examine the landscape of what's actually available. Don't get caught up with thinking about, oh, what's gonna come out in 2024. Think about, okay, this is what we have now. There's X number of sales or discounts, and there's refurbished versions of these products to choose from. So make sure that you understand that. And the third is, keep an eye on the rumors. Now, granted, that's a lot easier with an iPhone because these come out every September. So you can just look at a calendar and say, okay, well, it's August. Maybe I'm not gonna buy a new phone right now. With the MacBooks, you're gonna need to read a little bit more tea leaves. So for example, right now, the M3 chip is the big rumor. That's supposedly coming as soon as October of this year. But you'll notice that's supposed and as soon as, okay? Not very concrete. Now, I have a whole video talking about why the M3 Macs look pretty exciting, but the key takeaway as it relates to this situation is the time frame. October of this year is the absolute earliest that we're gonna see anything with an M3 chip, and it's not gonna be the higher end of the scale, it's gonna be the base model stuff. So if you're shopping for a 14 or 16-inch MacBook Pro, you should be keeping in mind, okay, these devices came out in January. That's about 9 months ago, so they are a good ways into their cycle, but they're not going to be imminently replaced because the M3 chip hasn't even come out yet, which means there's at least 6 or 8 months after that before an M3 Pro and Max chip are gonna come out. So that should help you on that end, but on the base model end, which are imminently going to be replaced, I don't think that that disqualifies them either. Because the thing about the base model M2 MacBook Air right now is that you can find some really incredible deals on it. Starting with Apple's own website, you can get these things for $970. You can also find them on Amazon for the same price. But just recently, Newegg launched a new refurbished program, and I suspect in an effort to gain market share, they are absolutely demolishing everyone else on price. You can get the base model M2 MacBook Air with the 8-core GPU, 8 gigs of RAM, and 256 gigs of storage for just $850. Now that's a pretty crazy price, okay? And I've got links for everything that I'm talking about in the description below if you are actually buying a new Mac right now. But holy cow, $850, that's $250 less than retail. And that's very important because let's say in a perfect world, the M3 MacBook Air comes out in October. There's no information to suggest that the form factor or anything about the device and design are going to change. So it's a chip upgrade. So you can get the same design right now, and you can save $250 over retail. Even if the M3 chip is really, really good, and I'm sure it will be, that's still a really good value for the M2. And this is a common theme, by the way. With everything here except for the 15-inch MacBook Air, which only came out a month or two ago, you can find tons of deals if you look hard enough. Now, they're not gonna blow your socks off, right? You're not gonna find these things for 50% off, but a couple $100 here and there definitely goes a long way at making the value proposition higher. Here are some examples of 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pros with the latest chips and some pretty decent discounts. I think some of the best advice I could give is if the Mac that you're shopping for came out more than 2 or 3 months ago, you shouldn't be buying it on Apple's website if you can avoid it. Typically when new Macs come out, you're gonna be paying retail, or maybe you'll find a $100 discount on one of the pre-configured specs. But now that we're a couple months out, you can start to look for renewed options, you can start to look for clearance sales, and there's a lot of different ways that you can get a really good deal, not just on the latest stuff. If you want to get a 16-inch MacBook Pro, for example, what's stopping you from buying an M1 Pro machine from just last year? Here's a couple examples of those that I have found at significant discounts, and these are all still being bought from major retailers. So when you step back and look at it that way, now is actually a really good time to buy a Mac, because you have a ton of options. But beyond just good prices, there's also the fact that the current set of rumors doesn't have a particular device that is slated for a major redesign. I mean, think about it. The MacBook Air 15 is a brand new device that didn't even exist before. The 13-inch MacBook Air is a new design from 1 year ago. The MacBook Pros are a new design from about 2 years ago. The iMac is 2 years old. The Mac Mini doesn't really seem like it's gonna change at all. The Mac Studio is also a brand new device that didn't exist until a year ago. And the Mac Pro, well, that device, you just shouldn't buy it anyway. Except if you're me, because I bought one, and I've actually got a video planned where I wanna just absolutely load that thing out and try to make the most of the PCIe lane. So let me know in the comments below if you want to see that video. But anyway, I digress. The point is there are a ton of good options out there, and I really don't want you guys to be afraid to buy a computer if you need a computer. I do legitimately get a ton of comments and Twitter DMs and emails from people saying like, oh my gosh, I really want to get the new 14-inch MacBook Pro, but I didn't get it back in January, and now it's September, and I'm terrified that a new one's gonna come out and I'm gonna feel like a schmuck because I spent $2,000 on a previous gen device. It's completely understandable to feel that way. I have felt that way in the past. And yeah, if you really wanna have the latest device and know that it's not gonna get replaced immediately, the best strategy is to buy it on launch day. Just whatever you have, if you want the latest and greatest, just don't buy anything until Apple announces it and then buy it immediately. That's the only way that you're possibly going to be able to have any control over that. But for normal people who buy on their schedule, not Apple's, there are a ton of options, and you shouldn't feel bad about buying something that came out 8 or 9 months ago, or even 2 or 3 years ago. So anyway, I hope this video helps distill some calm out there, because I know that we do tend to get a little excited over here in the tech world, and I'm no exception, I'll admit. We get excited about new devices coming out. Oh, what's next? What's next? We never really take a moment to say, okay, what if what we have right now is perfectly good? I'm sitting here with a table covered in MacBooks. It's a ridiculous thing to say, but all of them are a fantastic option. You can find all of them for less than retail, and you really can't go wrong. So just keep your eyes peeled, find a good deal. If you do want to wait, then wait, but don't put it off for like 2 years. I don't think that really helps anyone. Anyway, I've rambled on for long enough. I hope you guys found this video helpful. Let me know down in the comments below if you did. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.